If the statements to the left are all true, which of the following must also be true? And that's code for inference. So we need to be able to draw an inference based on this passage. Let's summarize what the argument is so we can compare the answer choices to that. So we have high national inflation rates do not result in stagnation of economic growth. And then the additional evidence that we have, if countries are ranked in order of inflation rates, there's no correlation between inflation and growth. So inflation and growth don't have much to do with each other. So which thing must be true based on that? A, nations with high inflation rates tend to erect trade barriers. Well, we don't find out anything about trade barriers. B, it is impossible to compare economic growth rates meaningfully and reliably among countries. Well, it does say rate statistics are adjusted, so it can't be impossible. So this actually is a conclusion that absolutely cannot be drawn. C, reducing national inflation rates through stricter government spending will not necessarily cause a lowering of that country's individual rate of economic growth. So here we have a sentence saying that changing inflation will not necessarily change the rate of economic growth. The passage itself says that the two aren't related, so this one's pretty tempting. Let's take a look at the other ones, though. D, if the nations were ranked in order of their population, the largest nations usually display the highest figures in terms of both inflation and economic growth. So this one says that there's some kind of correlation. That's not a conclusion that we can draw because the passage actually says there is no correlation between inflation and growth. That's contrary to what the passage says. Choice E, nations with the highest inflation rates have never comparably high economic growth rates. Well, it's not that they never have it, it's just that it's not correlated. So this extreme answer that they never have it is too much of a conclusion for us to draw. This one says that lowering the one will not necessarily lower the other. Because they're not correlated, they could both go down, but they won't necessarily because, again, they're not tied together, which is what the passage actually says. So it's answer choice C.